Greetings everyone, this is Zakhele here. We are back with our weekly videos, and this week we want to be doing something a little bit special. We want to be previewing the upcoming budget that hopefully will be tabled in the upcoming days, seeing as the previous one in February was postponed. It was delayed, and rightfully so in my estimation, because the Department of Finance wanted to impose on us a pretty hefty VAT increase. And thankfully enough, there were still, sane people in the room where the decisions were made, and they were opposing that decision. And thankfully enough, that budget was cancelled, right? And the minister was tasked with looking at ways to fund his budget without, imposing such hefty taxes on us. But it seems like from at least the grapevines that are coming out of the Department of Finance, we are guaranteed a VAT increase. It won't be as high as the one that was proposed last time, but seemingly it seems to be coming. It seems to be guaranteed. And as you know, here at home, we are quite opposed to any increase in taxes. Instead, if you have been following the work that we've been doing in one of our Liberty First papers, we actually tasked the GNU government that it should put a moratorium on any increase in taxes during, its term. This would do wonders for the South African economy, as we all know, and just in general, right? I doubt anyone likes the idea of having to pay more for goods and services, pay more for taxes should, income tax in the next coming years be considered to be increased. But for now, they're considering increasing VAT, and I think we all know how horrible that is. We have spoke about VAT, we've spoke about zero-rated items, we have spoke about how the impact of an increase in, a tax like VAT is disproportionately felt by those who have less disposable income in society. In South Africa, we sit with one of the highest unemployment rates in the world, and we have a government that is considering and squeezing those at the lower rung of the margins even more by saying that they should pay more for goods and services than they currently do. We oppose this with all the might that it should be opposed. We hope that the parties within the GNU who are signatory to that agreement will oppose this upcoming VAT increase. We are still adamant that it is impossible that in a budget of 2 trillion, the South African government cannot find a spare 60 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is simply absurd. The 60 billion that is supposed to be the shortfall of the budget can be found in any of the various departments and spending obligations that the government currently has, and it need not be financed through the hardship of South Africans in them having to pay higher for goods and services using money that most of us, and this is at a statistical level, a majority of us just don't have that money. So it is quite unfortunate. We hope that in the tabling of the budget there will be actually robust debates. I personally hope that VAT does not increase. It looks like it will, but I hope that what happened last time seemingly happens again, and the ruling party is unable to find a partner to vote with it for this budget because it disproportionately impacts the poor by increasing VAT, right? Instead, what we have proposed should be done is a cut in government spending. As if you don't know, we released a Liberty First paper on the size and scope of government, and we have been quite strong proponents of reducing the size and scope of the government. This, at a broader level, is necessary in South Africa. We are sitting with high debt levels. Already we are experiencing the problems of having spending obligations that we just cannot sustain given our economic activity and productivity, right, which translates in the revenue that the states collect. So we want things that we simply cannot afford as a country. We must come to grips with this, and this necessitates understanding that there are certain things that a government should not and cannot do, as we are finding out right now. Yet our state is still considering absurd ideas like the NHI and the likes, right? Yet when it is struggling just to cover a 60 billion rand shortfall in the current budget, and this is quite unfortunate. So as South Africans, we urge you to seriously think about, what role do you want the state to be playing? Do you want it to be playing any role at all other than protecting your life, liberty, and property, of course, right? So as we are looking forward to the budget, we hope that, the government is actually seriously considering cutting spending. This has to be a priority. Instead of increasing taxes, cutting spending has to be done. A confrontation of unions, right? And actually realistically looking at things like salary increases year on year, and even the collective bargaining agreements themselves on whether they are still beneficial to the South African taxpayer or not should be looked at. In South Africa, we are quite unfortunate in sitting with like a public service that costs us a whole lot, but without any improvement in outcomes and the quality of life. Our educational system is not the greatest. Our public health system is not the greatest. I'm sure we are due another scandal like like the one that we had last year at the Children's Hospital in Johannesburg, right? So these are things that we have normalized, even though we pay our public servants one of the highest salaries in the world compared to other, economies of comparable size. And we should not be normalizing this. We should not be normalizing the prospect that every time the government needs to do something, it will raise taxes on us when VAT was already raised just a couple of years ago. We as South Africans should get to a point where we say, enough is enough. That's why I was glad that, previously when the budget was supposed to be tabled, it was, opposed by parties within the GNU. This is a good thing. It shows our democracy is working, because it means that the ruling party in the ANC can no longer just run roughshod over us after having taken decisions in Luthuli House. But this is really the broad strokes of the budget, right? The government will be spending more. We are saying the government should not spend more. The government should not be increasing taxes. Instead, the government ideally should be decreasing taxes so as to encourage economic growth, because the South African economy needs to grow. That is the best way to solve our problem. Growing our economy, making sure that South Africans in their millions stay productive. And the best way to do that, well, is just by going on the Liberty First website and reading all the recommendations we have made towards the South African government, with actual evidence that shows, policies that have a proven track record of working all across the world. That is what we need to achieve. Just reducing the size of the government, eliminating all regulations, particularly in our labor sphere, growing our economy, and that will translate to higher revenue for the state, meaning that they can finance their spending obligations in their actual revenue instead of what is currently happening right now. Now, though, please do tell us what you think. Maybe you agree that even though VAT should not be increased by a lot, it should be increased by just a bit. If you disagree and you agree with us here that, just forget about the very idea of increasing taxes and focus on the things that are necessary to grow the South African economy, do tell us what you think below. Do tell us what you think, even if you don't agree with anything and you want to, provide a third alternative. We want to hear your thoughts as always. Give the video a like, share it with your friends and family. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and as always, remember, stay free.